everybody doing today? So welcome to Adler Animates. If you'll take a moment, we have 2 exits to our right. Please don't exit during the thing because we want you all here. The exits to your left don't exist because that is company property, so don't go there. All right, and without further ado, we're going to bring out our host today, Adler the Eagle.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
You can hear me? Oh boy! Well, hey everybody! It's Adler the Eagle! How y'all doing? You good on MFF so far?
Yeah.
Alright, good. Well, are you ready to learn animation? Right, yeah, because we're not going to learn animation today. I'm so sorry. I'm telling stories instead, so sit down. Hey. No, you can't leave. No, you're good. Just sit down. You're good. No, you're good. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be super fun. Welcome to Adler Animates Live at MFF. Should I say Midwest Ambulance Fest? Ooh, too soon? I don't know. A Sequential Image, Stereophonic, Multimedia Event, otherwise known as a really, really fancy PowerPoint. I am your host, Adler the Eagle. For those of you who don't know me, I am an animator on YouTube. I do the YouTube videos. I'm a bird. Oh, shocker, right? And I'm currently live. I'm alive. I'm currently living. Now, you're probably wondering, Adler, where are all of your apostrophes? You missed one here, and you missed one there, and you missed one there. Well, I'll tell you where all my apostrophes are. They're right here, and they're going directly into the garbage. Do you know why? Because they look like sprinkles. And I don't like sprinkles. Oh, get out of here. Hey, get out of here, apostrophe. Goodness gracious. There was a Twitter poll about that, too. And you all failed. It's okay. Now, if you see my YouTube channel, this is going to be kind of like riding your favorite roller coaster. You're going to see the ups and downs, the hidden feathers, twos and fro's, and all that nonsense. But if this is your first time seeing any of my content, you're going to be like this really cute Italian grandma on her first roller coaster ride. She's so adorable, and she's having such a good time. That's going to be you. It's going to be super fun.
I feel so special.
So, what?
I've always wanted to be Italian.
Well, now you can be Italian. I grew up in Indiana. Anybody from Indiana? Yeah, it's gross there. I grew up in a little town called Columbia City, Indiana, where we have such attractions as the Nook, which is a really, really good hot dog joint where they know my name. We have Page's Crossing. It's like putt-putt with that weird blue water. Like that blue putt-putt water. What is that stuff? And we have All Occasions Cakery, which is my mom's cake business. Yeah, okay, yeah. I wish my mom was here. She would have loved that. I grew up in a bakery, and a lot of people would think, like, wow, that's super cool, but it was just really super normal for me. Everyone, like, thinks, like, oh, wow, you grew up in a bakery. You must absolutely love cake. And I don't. I don't like cake because I've been around it so much. It's a shocker, I know, right? That would be so sad to not like cake. The one thing I don't like the most, though, is sprinkles. Reason being is I knew that, like, you guys didn't get to grow up in a bake shop. So I ate all the sprinkles for you. You're welcome. I didn't like them. I just knew I could, so that's why I would do it. So we were about that age where, like, Mom will leave you at home alone when she goes and gets groceries. Like, it'll be fine. The kids will be, good. I'm just going to be right back. But she was very, very, very wrong. I'd wait a couple minutes. I'd watch her car go over the hill. Wait a few minutes later, just to be sure that, she wasn't going to come back. And then I'd make a beeline directly for the bakery. My mom always had a 5-gallon bucket of sprinkles, and I always knew right where it was at. I was also very paranoid that my mom was going to come in and, like, see me with my eagle hands, like, grabbing up her sprinkles. And so instead of just eating them there, I would take them and eat them underneath of my deck. So handful by handful, I'd grab them and then like go, and sneak out and then like, ow, ow, eat them. Like some kind of weird sprinkle monster. That went on for about 2 weeks until I ate literally the entire 5-gallon bucket of sprinkles. The funny part about this is though, I did it all underneath my deck. Like just like transporting them underneath the deck. My mom really never figured out. Like she just thought we ran out of sprinkles really quick, and the poor people of Columbia City, Indiana ate sprinkles that my gross little bird hands had touched. Ooh, gross. Oh, so I threw up. On the last day, I finally threw up, and it was the most beautiful, it was the most beautiful rainbow vomit ever. I'm sorry. Gross. Adler, why are you telling gross stories at your panel? So, the moral of the story is, just because you can eat an entire 5-gallon bucket of sprinkles doesn't mean you should eat an entire 5-gallon bucket of sprinkles. So you're probably thinking now like, wow, you are a weird kid. And I was. Here's a picture of me and my sister from a little while ago. She hadn't hatched yet. She had been born. I don't even know what do we call that even? She was like kind of born, I guess. But yeah, I was a weird kid, but I was an even weirder teenager. Now, before we continue, the following story is old, but it's still good. So, Adler Animates now looks like this. It's real smooth. It got like the live backgrounds and stuff. But it used to look a little like this. This was my first ever video I ever made ever at all. And we've come a little bit of a long ways, but you know, from humble beginnings, we'll see this. So. I had just gotten into middle school. I sat down and I smelled this weird smell. And I'm like, it's not me, so it must be the kid sitting next to me, and his name was Cody. And Cody wasn't like naturally the best at like putting deodorant on, I think, or something. I don't know. He just kind of always smelled, so I kind of knew it was him scoot away. Now, Cody and I were in the same classes all day. We went from class to class, place to place, so he was with me the entire time. We go over to science, and he sat really far away from me in science, but I could still smell the smell. So I asked my friends, I'm like, hey, guys, do you smell like a weird, like, poop kind of smell? And they're like, yeah, you know what? I kind of do smell like a weird poop smell, like a fresh dog poop smell. So I'm like, yeah, it's probably Cody, so now I've got that rumor going. So I sit down, and we're in English, and I smell the smell, and it smells so bad. I know it's him. He sat next to me. Lastly, we move on to math. Now, in math, Cody sat on the complete opposite side of the room, but I could still smell the weird poopy smell. And at this point, even the teacher is like, okay, do you guys smell like that weird poop smell? We're like, yes, we smell the smell. So after class, I went up to her and I said, hey, I don't know how to say this, but I think Cody is the one who smells. And she's like, oh, yeah, I'll go out in the hallway and talk to him. So she took him out in the hallway, and everybody knew she was talking to Cody, and I felt so bad, but it was almost unbearable. So he came back in, and he was kind of sad, and then I played Pokemon Ruby on the bus, and it was great. That was the good times. You had that, Game Boy Advance. It was, weird, transparent, and I didn't really even think anymore about the weird smell at school. I come in, and I sit down at home, and I noticed something weird. Something sticky on the side of my shoe. And then I realized that all day, it had been me. I had stepped in dog poop outside of my own house, and I had been the one who smelled. I stepped in dog poop, I took it with me all the way through middle school, and I blamed Cody. And it was actually me. Okay, and also though, to this day, I have talked to Cody. We're good now. After everybody on Twitter was like, you need to be nice to Cody. I was like, okay, so I reached out to him. I was like, hey, I'm going to a panel. I'm going to talk about the time that I accidentally told the teacher you smelled, but it was me. And he's like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm internet famous? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, we're great. So, the moral of the story is, don't blame others for smelling like dog poop before checking yourself for smelling like dog poop. All right, so birds. Birds are, they're not the smartest people. Oh, no. Oh gosh, okay, give us a minute. Hi, so like, conventions and stuff, right? right. You've been fooled! Me! I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That was really stupid. It won't happen again. Birds. Birds, we can't see glass. Okay, we all know that now, right? Can't see the glass. We're not very good at it. It's not like our best skill. We also tend to get ourselves in some weird situations sometimes. We tend to get ourselves maybe stuck in places. So if you take these two birds that we've just seen, put them together, whoop-bang! It's story time. I grew up in Indiana. We have these weird days that I like to call swinter, which is where it's spring, but it still looks like winter. So it's like 60 degrees outside. It's kind of like today, honestly, a little bit colder today, but like snow's melting. It's still pretty warm out, and I had just gotten back from elementary school off of the bus. I go around back because my mom usually would leave the back door open, but for whatever reason it was locked today. So I'm like, all right, I'll go check the front door. I go check the front door, and it's locked too. But because it was winter, I guess that's a holiday now. Because it was winter, the windows were open. So I was like, I'll just lean in and yell at my mom. So I go around and I put my head in, and just like that, I'm like, hey mom, what's going on? And I accidentally pressed the window closed with my shoulder blades, and I was stuck in the window. Now, okay, I lied a little bit ago. I wasn't in elementary school. I was definitely in high school, and I had just driven myself from a spring day in high school. So I promise I'm smart. I don't know.
We still love you.
So thanks. So I try to reach for my phone, but it's in my backpack, which is pretty far away, and I took it off because I was like, oh well, I'm gonna take out my backpack and look inside. I couldn't reach it. The windows open with a crank. You have to crank them open, and they close from the outside, so you can close them in case whatever, so people can't, I don't know, maybe open them. I have no idea why they are like that. They just are. And I tried to wiggle myself out a little bit more, but when I did that, I got myself stuck even more. So at this point, I'm trapped, behind my jaw, the pole, and I was assuming my mom was home, so I screamed for her, but she was gone. She was not there. I waited in that window for 2.5 hours until she came back. So first I sang songs, and then I tried to get out again, and then I cried a decent amount. Now, and Adler answers. I don't know, if the person who is here asked this question, I'm so sorry. It says, Adler, just kidding. Adler, when you got your head stuck in the window, why didn't you just lower your head down and come out the bottom? There seemed to be plenty of space. Sorry, but this question won't leave me alone. Face. Oh, Annan, you weren't there. It was like a ledge, I just couldn't get out. It was pinched, and it was the worst thing ever. The only reason I was able to get out, I stood there for 2.5 hours. The only reason I was able to get out was my cousin just happened to stop by. She was dropping off some pans from some sort of holiday and saw me in the window. So, the moral of the story is, look before you leap. Or stick your head in any windows. Oh, knock knock.
Who's there?
Who's there? It's a story about roller coasters. So, if you don't know this, I used to work at Cedar Point as a ride host. It was super. Anybody been to Cedar Point? Yeah. You can yell. You don't have to raise your hand. It's not a library. But no, I used to work at Cedar Point. I loved it. I absolutely loved working at Cedar Point. It was super, super duper duper fun. I was the person. Whatever. Shocker. That's what I meant to say. Shocker. I was the person on the microphone. So I was the one who'd put my thumb up and say, "All clear." But it was honestly the best time ever. I learned so much about how to be kind of crazy and improv-y from this, and it was truthfully one of my favorite jobs. But it comes with some, we have to be very serious. It's very serious. We have to keep everybody safe. So safety is definitely our number one priority. The hardest job is actually entrance, which is the person who sits down at the front. And the reason being is because you have to just deal with everybody's weird questions all day. So this is going to be a compilation of just the weirdest questions you've ever heard. So it's a roller coaster, right? I worked at a roller coaster. So I have people come up and go, is this roller coaster fast? And I wanted to be yeah, it's a roller coaster. Of course it goes fast. But what I actually would say was, yes. I'd also have people come up and ask like really, really morbid questions like, has anyone ever died on this ride? And I'm like, not today. But really, I would just say, no. I once had someone come up with a brand new, baby, like a baby, and was like, hi, is it okay if I hold my baby on this ride? You can't even have bags on this ride. You can't even have, a book bag, nonetheless a baby. I thought she was joking with me, so I may or may not have said some things I shouldn't have to her, like, if you hold your baby in this ride, it's going to become part of Lake Erie. And she didn't like that, so I got a complaint from guest services about saying this woman's baby was going to end up in Lake Erie. But really, though, really, I still to this day, I'm like, it's a roller coaster. You're not going to hold your newborn infant on it. So we also have to deal with, people who are too tall. So we, normally you deal with, the short kids, oh, I'm sorry, you can't ride. But then you have people who come in, like Majira, and they're, a million years tall. And you're like, unfortunately, you can't ride this ride because you're too tall. And there's nothing harder in this earth than telling someone who's, way taller than you, hi, I'm so sorry you can't ride. You can't ride the ride, I'm so sorry. Ugh, a lot of those don't normally go really well. Now, the other thing that the entrance people are in charge of is closing the entrance in case of, inclement weather. And you thought the questions were crazy before. Just wait. What?
That ride's sinking.
Yeah, that ride is sinking. Magnum XL 200 is sinking into the ground, by the way. It's not. I don't think so. I hope not. Okay, anyway.
It's urban legend.
People would be like, excuse me, why is the ride down? I'm like, well, it's raining, and we can't run in the rain because the brakes use friction. The friction brakes are, the trains will slide through, and they're like, it's not raining, it's only sprinkling. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, I think technically sprinkles are rain, but if there's any sort of precipitation, no, sprinkles are not, sprinkles, I heard sprinkles and my brain just tracked back to the sprinkles story. Sprinkles are not rain. Sprinkles are not good either. Sprinkles are not rain. Where's your supervisor? And I'm like, I am the supervisor. That was always hard to deal with. Now, I once had someone, this is the craziest thing that's ever happened. I once had someone come up to me. They were already angry. They were just mad. And they came up to me and they demanded that I call security. And I was like, okay, well, why? And they're like, well, a bird pooped in my mouth. I was like, what? A bird? It wasn't me. I don't think it was, at least. It definitely wasn't me. I'm like, well, I can call first aid for you if you'd like, but I can't necessarily call security for a bird pooping in your mouth. And he's like, no, I need you to call security to have the seagull destroyed. What? I don't even know where the seagull is. What's his name? If you see him or what? Because I have no idea. Either way, that interaction did not go well, and I ended up having to call security for other reasons. So, the moral of the story is, be nice to customer service workers. Right? We'll go back to that one. Everybody clap for that. Yeah. Great. Be nice to your customer service workers. You're right, Gleason. He said people were going to clap at that, and I was like, all right, yeah, probably. Or I might just make fun of you at a furry convention. All right. Real talk here, okay, guys? Sure. Raise your hand if you are in college right now. All right, cool. Now, please raise your hand if you skipped your classes to come to Midwest Fur Fest this week. No, back! Go to school. It's good for you, and back. All right. So I went to the lovely Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana. Yeah, chirp, chirp. Any Ball State people other than myself? Right. Okay, yes, hi. Boop, that's our logo with beneficence. That right there is the animation room. That's where I learned how to do all the animations that I do. And there's some of this nonsense going on in there, but this is truthfully Ball State was super, super great, and I had a great time. I'm not sponsored by them, by the way. I just really liked my school. I was the school mascot. Huh. Right. So college is a time for growth and learning and maturing. It's also a time to learn how to share a tiny space with a random stranger. We have those roommates that are really, really good, and then we have the ones that are just horrible, but we never give like a real good like just pat on the back to the regular roommate. The regular roommate is that roommate you have that you probably forgot about a little bit, but like their mom comes into town and she's like, "It's okay, I'll get your bill." And you're like, "Okay, that's cool, but I'm really hungry." So you just order soup, and then like you feel really weird about that, and so you eat all the like bread and drink all the water, and like it's not a good time. The regular roommate and their mom are just like talking about Thanksgiving and like, "Oh well, Uncle Seth's gonna be sleeping in your room, so like we're gonna make sure it's clean." And he's like, "Oh Mom, no, I don't want to sleep on the couch again." She's like, "Oh, Uncle Seth has the back problem, blah blah blah." And you're just sitting on your phone like, "I just want to go home. I just want to go home and not be part of this awkward roommate thing. I don't know." Well, my first regular roommate, his name was Brian, and Brian was pretty chill. I taught him how to play Smash Bros. Because he didn't know, which is really weird. I'm just not from a place where like I know anybody who doesn't know how to play Smash Bros. I always played as Ness, and he was Captain Falcon, and I always kicked his butt. Until he started getting better, and then he started kicking my butt, and I didn't play anymore. He tried to teach me about football, like as another like thing, and I was like, That did not go over nearly as well. I was a marching band kid, so I was like, "Hey, why are you on the marching band field? Like football players? That's weird." It's the marching band field. Brian was also obsessed with milk, and this is the weird part. Okay, he was so obsessed with milk, he would use entire lunch swipes on just straight up milk and save them. You'd drink like, I'm not joking, I think 7 of these like, those little, the ones with the twisty cap, plastic ones, like a day. We started making a big statue of them in our room that went from the floor to the ceiling on an entire wall. And that, I was like, "Is this too much milk?" And he's like, "This is definitely not too much milk. There's no such thing as too much milk, Adler. No such thing." I was like, "Okay." Well, a few days later, I'm sitting in the room, and I'm like, "What's that smell?" And I was like, he had kind of smelly feet, to be honest. And I was like, "It's probably his feet." It wasn't his feet. It was the milks. The little residue left in the milk bottles was stinking up the room. And so I opened one. It was the worst thing of my entire life, and I threw up. So much throw up in this story. So yeah, it was all the milks. I just like this animation, to be honest, so that's why I put it in twice. So Brian was pretty regular. He was like a 7.8 out of 10 too much milk, though. My next weird roommate, or regular, not weird, my next regular roommate was Brian 2. And yes, they had the same name. Brian 2 was a little more weird than Brian 1, but he was still very regular. We'll go with it. So one day I'm gonna go get groceries. I'm like, "Hey, Brian 2, do you need to come get groceries? I'm headed to the store." He's like, "Yeah, I need to get me another bag of them blue chips." And I'm like, "Blue chips? Blue chips? Huh." He's like, "Yeah, it's like that blue bag of chips with it's got that dust on them. It's like red and blue a little bit on it." And I'm like, "Dust? The blue chip dust? Are you talking about Cool Ranch Doritos?" He's like, "Nah, it's not those. It's like a blue bag, and they're in the shape of a triangle. And they got like the 80s kind of like swish thing on them." And I'm like, "You're talking about Doritos, Brian 2? Please get in the car." He was weird. He would also, I come home, he was obsessed with one episode of SpongeBob. I'd come home and he'd be watching the same, maybe it was a coincidence, but I think after 12 times of coming home and he's watching the same episode of SpongeBob, it's not a coincidence anymore. There's some sort of something happening. So I'd be like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's like, "Watching SpongeBob." I'm like, "Is it the Bubble Buddy episode again?" "Yep." I'm like, "All right, I'll leave you to it." He's like, "Okay, bye." Also, rest in peace, Steven Hillenburg, who did SpongeBob, by the way. I think a lot of people actually get into know that, SpongeBob and stuff, and get into animation because of that. It was a great show. So, shout out to him for making just a really, probably one of the most iconic shows of all time, really. All right, back to the goofs. Brian 2, though, he was really, really good about doing dishes, so I really can't complain too much about his weirdness, his just strangeness. My last roommate was Brian 3, and Brian 3 was real cool, except for he was a really, really big mooch. The food would go missing all the time when he lived with us. So, one of my first encounters, he just moved in, and I was like, oh, hey, you're here. And he's like, yeah, I'm here. And Blazin had moved down to his internship, so it was just the two of us for a while. And he came in, he's like, hey, man, so, like, I think Blazin left a Hot Pocket in the freezer, so, like, is it up for grabs because it's going to be gone for 3 months? So I'm like, yeah, man, you can have the Hot Pockets. That's fine. And he's like, oh, sweet. Thanks, my dude. And then a couple days later, it's like, hey, so there's like a frozen pizza in the freezer that's like, I think it's Blazin's. Can I like have, I'm like, yeah, you can have the frozen pizza, Brian 3. It's fine. It's fine. You can have the pizza. And he's like, oh, sweet. Thanks, my dude. Then, things start getting real crazy when he comes up and he's like, hey man, so there's like a cake sitting here. I know it says like, happy birthday Adler on it, but like, it's been here since the morning and now it's noon. So like, can I eat it? And I'm like, yes, Brian 3, you can eat my birthday cake. And he's like, oh, sweet. Thanks, my dude. Oh, also, like, there's a box out on the porch, and it has your name on it, and it's all, like, wrapped up nice and pretty. It has, like, a bow on it. But can I have it? No. Okay. But Brian 3 was very good about mowing, all on his own. I never had to ask him. I had to go buy gas sometimes, because he can't buy anything himself, I guess. But, I hate mowing. I hate mowing so much. So, the moral of the story is, communication is the key to being a good roommate. And also be cool and don't eat each other's food. Like, let each other know, don't just take things. Also, I'm so sorry, I ate your Doritos. I have to tell Blazin this right now. He was like, where are my Doritos? And I was like, I bought them for the episode, but he actually bought them, and I ate them. When the most recent the roommate episode came out. I feel bad. He's being quiet. What's that? Bagel. What kind of bagel? Oh, it's time for a plane story, because MFF, right? Yeah. It's plane theme. I hate this joke. I literally couldn't think of anything else, and I work at Starbucks, and we have plain bagels. I was like, and I couldn't get out of my head. So who flew through O'Hare to get here today? Yeah, airports. Good job. Good flying. Did you go through this tunnel?
Yes. No.
Yes. This is like a huge part of like my trip, like traveling. Anytime I fly through here, my dad lives in Italy, so I go see him pretty often. But like every time I go through here, I'm like, oh boy, remember that weird tunnel? I'm on a trip. It's like super fun. I went to a swim camp once in Maryland. And it was in the winter, and I came back, and we had been snowed out. So I had like a flight from Maryland to O'Hare, and then O'Hare to Fort Wayne. And the flight to Fort Wayne was canceled. So I go up to the person, I'm like, what do you call him? The person who's in charge of I don't even know. I'm like, I need a new flight. And also I was like 13. And they're like, yeah, we can get you a new flight. It's going to be tomorrow, like 24 hours from now. I'm like, oh, great. Cool, I guess I'm just stuck at this airport now. So I had this, I only lived like 3.5 hours away. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just call my dad and maybe he can come get me. Because, you know, that makes sense. So I had the, like, LG NV phone. I don't know, maybe, like, some people are too young for that or something, but I had, and it, like, flipped open. It was the coolest thing. But it had, like, an AC adapter. You had to plug into an actual outlet. It was before, like, the whole USB, like, everything is kind of universal now. And it was orange. It was so fun. I love that phone. And I would play Bejeweled on it constantly. And I played Bejeweled the entire time I was on the flight from Maryland to O'Hare, and then couldn't charge it. I like killed the battery in my phone, so I couldn't call my dad. And that was really scary. I wanted to go home. And so I'm in the airport, and at this point you had to pay to like charge things. There was like a little thing, you put it in, it turned it on, and you charge your phone or whatever, but I didn't have any money because I spent like too many souvenirs buying like those I'm Crabby shirts from Maryland. And so I ended up like wandering around forever until I found a plant. And behind the plant, there was an outlet that had been painted over. And so I like took it and like put it in and then went and kicked it in. Got my phone charged and I called my dad. Hello? Hi. It's your son. I'm stuck in O'Hare Airport. The traffic is really bad. That's why I'm not home yet. It took me 2 hours to find a phone outlet. They're like, oh yeah, we saw that your flight was canceled. We just went to the movie. I was like, wait, movie? He's like, I'm like, can you come get me? Can you come pick me up? He's like, nah, American Sniper's coming out. So we're gonna go see that. I was like, wait, so you're not gonna pick me up? He's like, no, it's just 24 hours. Just have fun in the airport, man. I'm like, oh, okay. So I guess I'm just gonna be at the airport for 24 hours now. So I cried and rode that walkway back and forth in that underground tunnel of the rainbows for a good 8 hours. It was super, super fun and sad. So, the moral of the story is, sometimes you just gotta wait. Because your dad would rather go see American Sniper than save you from the airport. Alright, so segues are hard. Just like a sandwich left on the counter too long because you don't know what kind of sandwich it is and everyone just keeps staring at you. Okay, I'll explain, I'm sorry. So again, we're at Ball State University, yay! I had just graduated, and I had started dating Blazin. And at this point, I was done at Cedar Point, and I just felt that our relationship was more important than pursuing my career. I wanted to really like lay into this being gay thing, so I just really was like, okay, yeah, we're doing it. I'm moving in, we're doing it. So I was a cashier at my own alma mater for a little bit, and that was really, honestly, really, really hard. Was just going in every day and being like, oh yeah, I graduated from here. Here's your sandwich. Like, it was a little rough. But my relationship with Blazin was much more important than pursuing my career at the time. I might cry. Like, I got a little emotional. Anyway, I really actually liked my job. I love talking to the students. I loved college, and it was really fun to talk and see everybody. And so I got to help people smile in a different way. And that's really what I learned from all of that. But like I got to help people smile in a like different new setting. So sometimes though I would come in, and they'd be like, oh, you're gonna go to this dining hall, or you're gonna go to this dining hall because someone called off or whatever. But one time I came in, it was like, Adler, please go to Tom John's. Kay, thanks, bye. Tom John's is like our off-brand Jimmy John's, which is in like this weird back building that nobody ever sees. I didn't know it existed until I was told to go here, and I went to college here for 4 years. So like, what? I didn't even know it was there. So I walked across the campus, I put on my weird purple shirt, and I talked to the supervisor, and he's like, all right, so the sandwiches are going to come out. They're going to have a label on them. When you see the label, you're going to read the label out loud. If you don't know what the abbreviation is, you can look on the chart. Once you look at the chart, you're going to announce it. You're going to use the abbreviation and what kind of meat is in the sandwich to ring it up. Once you ring it up, if it has cheese or any sort of like guacamole on it, you're going to add a little bit extra to it. There's a button on the side. Once you do that, you'll give them the sandwich. And just make sure that you know what kind of meat it is, because that's how we keep track of how much more meat we need to buy. So blah, 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 too fast. He went too fast. But me being like, I graduated college, I'll be fine. Right, yeah, I'm smart, I think. I can't see glass, but sure, I'll figure it out. And so I get there, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, there's like 20 people in line. I didn't know this place existed. Where did you come from? And I take a moment, and I'm like, all right, I'll think back to my training. What did he say first? What was the first thing he said? The sandwiches will show up behind you. And I'm like, all right, yes, the sandwich is behind me. Yes, good. Turn around. This is a soup. This isn't a sandwich. Okay, all right, grab it. Come back over. All right, so, did someone order a soup? Oh, yeah, I did. I ordered a soup. Oh, yeah, I ordered a soup, too. Right. Okay, cool. So, you ordered a soup. What kind of soup was it? Oh, beer cheese soup. Smelly. Vegan broccoli. I see you over there. Vegan broccoli.
Bear cheese right here.
Right? I'm like, oh, okay. Sure. Right. This is a French onion soup. Oof. So all of the abbreviations at the place had the letter C in them in some way. And it was horrible because none of them meant the same thing. So I'd be like, okay, so we have a honey bacon cheddar cheese chicken chipotle classic. And sometimes I would just never find where they came from. After a certain amount of time, we'd be like, you did good, sandwich. It's like, I'm so sorry you didn't live up to your purpose. So other times, students would come in, and they'd be tired, college is tiring or whatever. They would come in and be like, just so out of it, like so tired to the point where they just could not remember what was in their sandwich. So I'd be like, okay, so you got a classic chipotle and cheese. What kind of meat is in that? And they're like, I don't know, man, like the warm kind? I'm like, warm kind? All of our sandwiches are toasted. And they're like, oh, what? Really? They're all toasted? The sandwiches? I'm like, yeah. So I'm gonna ring you up for a chicken sandwich, and they're like, wait, I didn't order a sandwich. I'm like, wait, you didn't order a sandwich? Then what did you even have? And they're like, I had a French onion soup. That's where the French onion soup was supposed to go. They were in there for like an hour, just standing around. Oh, goodness. Crazy students. So, the moral of the story is, not every moment of our lives has to be about our career. And that sometimes it's perfectly okay to focus on other things for a little bit. It can be hard. It can be really super hard, like going to a job that you don't like to do and trying to like bring life to that and like be like a positive influence when you're working at your college dining hall or something like that, especially right after you graduate. That was super rough, but if you just take a deep breath, look ahead of you, you'll eventually figure out what the sandwich is that you're supposed to hand out. All right, what kind of sandwich did you have? Was it a honey bacon club? Oh yeah, that was mine. Yes. All right, so before we go, if you are a patron, come up here. If you're a patron, get up here. Patrons, yeah! Yay, this is so exciting.
Aww.
All right, I'm gonna scoot up here so like come and get like behind me. Yay! Jeez, there's so many of you! No one responded in the Discord. There's only people who are like, I'm not gonna be there. It's like, that's not what I asked. All right, let's give it up for the patrons. I want to say that you guys have literally changed my life. This has been like, and you guys too, this has been the coolest thing to ever happen to me. Like, to be able to have an audience, to be able to have people to do animation for, people who care, in a community that just really wants to like see people be artistic and be creative and use their skills. And I'm not joking, like you guys, like every day when I wake up at 7:50, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go in there, I'm gonna make a good animation, it's gonna be great. And it's you guys that really like drive me to like want to do good things. And to have your guys' support and your belief in me is super cool. Now I'm gonna cry. But I'm just so excited to have had this opportunity and to like be able to make great content for you guys. So thank you so super much. Yay! We'll get a picture of the patrons. Oh, thank you. Okay, we're gonna hang out. Here's a list of the other patrons, just because patrons and whatnot. And like we always say, help someone smile today, guys. Okay? Have a great con, okay? Yay! It was good. All right, so what we're gonna do this is if you want to come up and say hi or whatever, we're gonna kind of go down the middle here. I'm gonna take a picture with the patrons real quick, and if you want to be in the video at the end, we're gonna do that probably before we make like a line and do stuff, okay? Actually, I changed my mind. I'm sorry. So we're gonna do that first. If you want to be in the video, cool. We're gonna like everybody's gonna sit here. We're gonna record it, and I'm gonna just say 1, 2, or like we always say, help someone smile today. That's the word. You know the slogan now. Okay, cool. We should have got the camera ready before now. It's okay. So how's everybody's MFF?
That's good.
Good. Awesome. Okay, so if you have a suit or whatever, put on your head. Actually, Blazen, do you have your phone?
It's over there. But yeah.
Let's just record it on your phone.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll be perfect. How are you guys? Good. Okay, we're gonna do this real quick. And then we'll do like, if you wanna come up and say hi and take a picture, okay? Yay! Also, enjoy the Super Mario Odyssey music. It's really good.
Don't pay attention to my hands, they're real like players.
Silver Gato Man, he bought me a coffee. Silver Gato Man, here is the song for thee. He likes to video all the panels at the cons. You should go and watch them whether they are short or long. Silver Gato Man, you video that's not a jibe. All of you go to his YouTube channel and like and subscribe.